Hi chess friends, this is King's Executor with another Benko Gambit game, a very recent game played in October 2012 in the 28th European Club Cup. And this is a game between Willy Iclicki, rated 2044, against Haast, rated 2232. And this is a Benko Gambit fully accepted line, and it is introduced with b4, white takes, and today most players decline the gambit with b6, and we will discuss this line in the future. Today we're going to look at the fully accepted line. White takes the pawn, and now most players nowadays play g6. They're trying to avoid b3 from white to fianchetto this bishop on b2, and if white would try it now, he would end up with a worse position. This knight has not his usual square on c3, because if he would move there, knight e4 immediately makes white's game look dubious, because this knight is kind of awkward there. It cannot move back to c3 because the bishop is watching that square, and the knight so doesn't support the queen side, and that's a problem for white because he's going to come under pressure there, and he has the knight has no nice follow-up here. Which route should he take? I mean, it just looks awkward. And if not knight to c3 in this position, e4 instead, still this knight has no natural square after knight here. Sorry, let's give black a move. Still there are these tactics. So after g6, white plays normally with knight to c3. Now black captures the pawn, and the normal Benko moves are employed. White gives up his castling rights to castle by hand with g3 and king g2, and black follows up with his normal deployments of the pieces, and h3 here to prevent the knight maneuvers to exchange knights, which would favor black. Black has a better pawn structure, so he would like to go into an endgame very quickly and exchange the pieces, and foremostly the knights, and after that he would have a lot of pressure with his heavy pieces against the pawns here. Then after exchanging knights they would really become weak. After h3, black employs a setup with a rook lift and the queen coming to a8, opposing the white's queen. If you recall the previous Benko videos, we had a line where there was a bishop on g2 in the fianchetto variation of the Benko Gambit, and this didn't work at all for black in that game. Although there is a game of Lev Albert, maybe I will cover it and show you how this worked. But in this position with the king on g2, queen a8 really makes more sense. Rook e1 now. White is looking for the thematic e5 push, trying to dismantle black's solid pawn structure and attack him. Queen a8, trying to talk white out of this plan, threatening him with tactical threats here. Bishop g5, provoking a kingside weakness out of black, so he would argue. Bishop to f4 now, where it would support again the e5 push, but now g5, kicking the bishop in combination with e6, a rather rare move in the Benko Gambit, an idea which computers like almost in every stage of the Benko lines early on in the game. No matter what line you play, the computers tend to like e6 early in the game, but this is rather the Benoni idea, and the Benko players, they prefer to keep the pawn structure as solid as possible and play on the queen side. Even these pawn pushes here are somewhat rare, but I think in this position it is justified by the queen being very active on the diagonal here and winning tempos, decreasing white's activity. I mean, you see the queen already having no control over the d5 point, which is now attacked because the bishop was forced to retreat. And yeah, so in this position I think the idea is very nice to play e6 here. Black could have went on with his normal plan, but I think if you employ your queen on a8, you cannot resist activating this idea with the help of e6. White is forced to take and tries to make use of this seemingly weakened pawn with queen b3. Now d5 is good, and now you see this nice pawn center here, and this because of a gambit. And now let's see in this tactical position how the players proceed. Rook e7, and my engine recommends, for example, a4 here, but I think it's not easy to play this move now. I think humans are really scared of the central menace. So an idea of mine would be maybe to try to provoke something out of black. Rook b6 would be a good move here. Rook to b8 wouldn't be as good. Queen c2, and now d4, attacking both knights, it seems, but in this position that doesn't work well. You cannot take the knight because of queen c4 check and winning the rook, although you might think this could be possible, but this is a really complicated line. Goes back, takes, attacking the bishop, so rook takes. If bishop to a4, I don't know, knight to e5, maybe even threatening here. So the rook takes, and this is rather equal. Maybe it's possible, but it relieves the complexity. So rook b6 after king g1, getting out of the diagonal, would be a better move here. Now both knights really are attacked, and if knight to d1 now, there is no check and no rook on a6 to capture afterwards. So in this position, not king g1 was played, but rook to e7, rook b6 again, queen to a4, and now the engine suggests takes, take this pawn back, attacking the rook, taking the pawn, now being on the second rank here. And after bishop c3, this seems like trouble, but it isn't. Knight to e4 is the move, and now there could be the try bishop takes, but then check, takes the knight, and if takes the pawn, takes the pawn again, king h2, and now g4 could be a try. After that, check, and we have a Zugzwang position here. Okay, in this position again, if rook takes, king f8, knight to d2 to interfere the pressure on f2, takes the piece here back, and now you see knight to e4 is no problem, even if white takes this knight, takes this piece, attacks, and knight to e4 should be a draw here. And this after rook takes b2. But black tried queen to b7. And now let's move on with part 2.